to start today's episode with some alarming news that's coming from the area of Kazakhstan, where in the wake of recent fracking operations, some 120,000 antelopes have been reported dead. This is a near extinction event. I must add that at this point in time, it is not proven conclusively that fracking has been the direct cause of this mass killing, although on the face of it, there doesn't appear to be any other rational explanation. We do know that those that are disaffected and living in the close proximity to evaporation ponds, flaring operations, and processing plants, there are emerging cancer clusters, leukemia clusters. This is proven. It is suspected that slower developing cancers will also be emerging in the not too distant future, but at the moment the leukemia issue is beyond any doubt. What do we do? Well, we can't turn to the politicians because this particularly scurrilous, disgusting piece of propaganda from Mr. Gary Gray, who is the member for Brand and the Federal Shadow Resources Minister, is just blatant lies. It was published in the foul rag, the West Australian, and all of it is demonstrable falsehoods, very easily disproven with even the most cursory research. The witness testimony and case histories prove this is rubbish beyond doubt, but it's dangerous rubbish. In fact, the only place this can belong is in the toilet, where what gets deposited on it would match the written content exactly. So the resistance is growing worldwide and at a pace. For example, anti-fracking movements comprise the fastest growing social movement in all countries worldwide. In the gravely disaffected state of Pennsylvania, there are some 16,000 registered opponents, but sadly for Pennsylvania, for many it is too late. There are already the level of illness and now direct deaths being caused by this dreadful scourge are going through the roof. There is tremendous opposition to the carcinogenic chemicals that are used in this foul process. They're trucking around hydrofluoric acid, where when you have a statistic of 1% of wells blowing out, we're sure that it's more than that. But that particularly caustic corrosive substance is being transported on public roads. Here in the town of Cervantes, in West Australia, to the best of our knowledge, we have no risk assessment in place, no evacuation procedures in the event of a disaster. We have asked the council to look into this and been stonewalled. So what happens when they come in and start fracking? They poison the water. That's going to happen. It will happen unquestionably. So what do they do then? Well, you're at their mercy. You can't drink your water anymore. You can set fire to it, but you can't drink it or use it for animals. The livestock that have been subjected to this dreadful stuff are their spontaneous abortions and death. So what they're doing in order to try and sugarcoat some of this is they began avoiding using the F word. They try not to use the word fracking because people are waking up. They'll just euphemistically use shale gas or whatever else they can dress it up with. But people are aware that there is no separation between government and industry. They have glad-handed themselves the authority misplaced and unlawfully to self-regulate. This industry cannot be regulated. It is an impossibility, let alone putting the rabid fox in charge of the hen house with the actual miners, the gas miners, regulating themselves. What we're faced with is a criminal corporate takeover. In the UK, grandmothers in protest have taken the extreme measure of supergluing their hands to gates in protest movements. Now that's a pretty extreme thing to do, but that's how strongly people feel about it. Those that are unfortunate enough to live close to flaring operations, aside from the manifest health risks, are subjected to never-ending light in the sky. It never gets dark. Just say nothing of the appalling noise and dreadful chemicals that pollute the air and the soil. You can't imagine how dreadful it would be unless you see one of these people, one of these victims, interviewed and have become aware of their appalling circumstances. Here in West Australia, we still have the opportunity to stop this foul scourge in its tracks. It should be permanently banned. Take, for example, the dreadful case of California, the mass drought in California, the worst in history. Why? The frackers came along, they've used up all the clean, pure water, destroyed that, put it back in a process called re-injection, and what's the end result? California has no water. Go figure. That doesn't have to happen here, but they're going hell for leather to try and force fracking upon the population who have already made clear, abundantly clear, their absolute and unwavering opposition to this genocide, which is what it is. So what we need is every citizen to stand up to the plate, make it known that this will not be tolerated. These scurrilous lies and propaganda easily disproven, because even a cursory examination into where this has taken hold will reveal that it does always poison the water. It does unfailingly contaminate the air, and it will most assuredly poison the soil. These are facts. They're unpalatable and they're entirely unacceptable. We insist, I'm speaking on behalf of the Cervantes Action Group, but also on the wider community who were surveyed and registered their resolute opposition, that this scourge, this obscene practice is permanently banned. Not just here, but everywhere around the world. This has to be stopped. It is genocide.